Hello, my name is Tom Miller. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about trying to get some funding for our football field and the reasons why we're in need of it. A little bit about me before we get started. I'm a graduate of Plymouth High School. I graduated in 1978 here. I played football 4 years, a couple years of basketball, and 4 years of baseball. Married my high school sweetheart, and we've lived in the district our entire married life. She's a graduate of Plymouth High School as well. As I said, she was my high school sweetheart. We had 4 kids. They all graduated from Plymouth High School. 2 boys played 4 years of football, so I'm been pretty invested in the football program. I'm currently on the school board. I've been on the school board for 18 years. I've helped in some capacity at football games, probably for about 22 years, keeping clock, keeping stats, chain crew, those types of things. We've got some video of our old field and where we'd like to move the new field. The first thing you see here in our video is where we currently park for games, for the high school games, the varsity games. The parking situation, there's an individual that owns this lot. The lot is where the old former current high school stood. An individual by the name of Randy Adams purchased the property from the school and built some apartments on the back part of it, and he allows us to park our cars there for the games. It's all grass parking, so if we do have a lot of rain, we either can't park there or we have a lot of repair work to do to the parking area. Next you'll see we get down to the park here where the games are played. We have the pavilions, and that is where the teams actually end up putting their final dress on, pads and such. They get their pants and stuff on at the school. The visiting teams actually come partially dressed, and they finish dressing in the pavilions down at the park, which is not always ideal conditions if it's raining or cold out. The young men get somewhat wet or pretty chilly before they even get a chance to get out to the football field to begin warming up. Next we walk down toward the field. The field was built in the late 50s. The scoreboard, I believe, is the original scoreboard that was down there, and the light poles are original. They're all wood. They are getting in very poor condition. We were told by a power company 3 or 4 years ago that we only had 4 to 5 years left on most of the poles because of the rotting condition they were getting in. The lights were updated in probably the early 80s, early to mid 80s. So there's, as of now, they're pretty outdated, so we can get much more efficient and brighter lights. We do propose to bring the home bleachers up to the new field. They are in pretty good condition. There will be a few modifications to bring them up to code, but other than that, those are pretty good. We want to use those on the visitor side and put new bleachers on the home side. As you can see, the area we are panning now, that is where the visitors go for halftime. They just kind of go over in the corner of the field in the grass. There's no shelter. Really, the lighting is very poor, and the restroom facilities are not really available for the visiting team clear over here. As we leave the field, you can see the distance that people have to travel from the field, especially the visitors, to the restroom area in the park. The park is owned by the village, and they maintain most of that. As far as restrooms and such go, the school has to maintain the field. And it is about a mile and a couple tenths drive from the school to the field, so we do have to bus our band and our players to and from the field for home games. And I know sometimes on a very cold or rainy night, the players are out in the cold and rain waiting on the bus to get back from taking the band back first. So those aren't always ideal situations. Also, I would like to mention, as far as emergency vehicles, if a player would get injured going down to the field, sometimes we can't get those emergency vehicles in and out if we have had a lot of rain, due to the fact that we have a very steep hill to get up out of once they get down into the playing area. So sometimes getting an injured player in and out can be a little difficult. Next, we're going to take you on a little tour of Plymouth and Shiloh, the 2 communities that make up the Plymouth-Shiloh Local School District. First off, you're going to see the old Fate, Root, and Heath building. It was a locomotive works that built locomotives for mining companies. It originally started out as the Silver King tractor factory and also did some work for the on the Plymouth automobile. That is no longer in business. You can see the buildings are getting pretty run down and dilapidated. That used to be one of the biggest employers in Plymouth. Now there is just one very small factory in town. We have a grocery store, a small Dairy Queen, and there is like a hardware store and several hair places in town. But currently the school is the biggest employer in our school district. In downtown Shiloh, it's got a few small businesses, and then there is a Boissard Manufacturing, which we have a distant shot of here. It employs a small number of employees, and it's a metalworking shop. Okay. Next, we're back at the new Plymouth Shiloh High School and Elementary School complex. We were able to build the high school about 10 years ago. I think it's going on 11 years actually now. And the elementary building, and that was funded through the Ohio School Facilities Commission. We were one of the poor districts in the state of Ohio, so we were funded at 89% state funding and 11% local funding. And to build these two buildings, we actually passed a $3.5 million levy to build the high school. Because our treasurer and superintendent have done such a good job managing the money, we were able to build the elementary school and have our 11% available without passing any additional funding. We also are purchasing at the same time the 75 acres this complex sits on. So I think the Board of Education and the superintendent and treasurer have done an excellent job of managing the money. We have always been very frugal in how we spend it. The field house was funded and built by the athletic boosters. It took between 10 and 12 years to raise the money. I know the last portion of the money, a group of individuals in the district, such as the athletic directors, a couple board members, principals, etc., signed a note to borrow money to finish the field house. In the field house, you will see that we have our weight room, then we have a multi-purpose room which houses the football field lockers during football season. Then it becomes a wrestling practice facility during the winter season, and in the spring it is used for baseball and softball. The batting cages and different workout areas are available in that room for the softball baseball team. And this was all funded by the boosters and took them 10 to 12 years to raise that money. As we go outside and look at the new field, you will see there is a press box being built. That is also being funded by the boosters. That was somewhere in around $30,000 to build that press box. And the boosters are funding and doing some of the labor on that themselves. Also, I forgot to mention at the field house, there was a lot of labor in that time frame also donated by boosters and community members to get the field house built at a more reasonable cost. We are hoping to get moved out to this new facility. We are in need of lights, 25-second clocks, fencing around the field to keep people from driving on the field, etc. And for crowd control. We still need home bleachers, which we are working on, concrete underneath the bleachers. The field house has been wired and has the power to run the lights, so all we have to do is get the wiring into the field house. And once we get the lights up, the power and everything is all there. On the front of the field house, someday we would like to be able to build our public restrooms. If we can moved to this facility, we'll have to use either the porta-johns or allow people to go into the school building to use restrooms. So eventually we would like to have restrooms built on the front of the field house. That is also a project that's going to need to be done. The plumbing and such for that job are already in place, so just the restrooms themselves would need to be built, and we're also would need to have some type of concession stand out at the football field, because the concessions really are one of the boosters' biggest fundraisers each year. We have done things in the past, just so you know, we've had car shows, we've had casino nights, we've had steak fries, we've done various raffles, we do 50-50 at a lot of the games. The boosters are in charge of all the concessions, so that's mainly how we raise our monies. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort to raise money to do major projects. We usually only come up with somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000 a year via the boosters. So to get a major project done, it takes anywhere from 5 to 15 years to get something like that done. We're just really in need of getting moved out to this facility because of the logistics, parking situations. As you can see toward the end of the video, the parking would be much better, and we got quite a bit of parking right there at the school for the football field. So it is our hopes that you would be interested and willing to help us out in this project with any type of donation. I also wanted to mention that in the Plymouth-Shiloh district, the average income of a family is $26,000 a year, and we also have 60% of our students are on free and reduced lunch here in our district. So there is a need. We don't have a lot of business, and the community does not have a lot of money. So there is a need to try to fundraise outside the district. Thank you for your time.